Gamebreaker TV.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast, episode 45 for October 16th, 2012. You're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary Gannon. Today, something wicked this way comes. Aquaman has arrived, and apparently everyone is rolling humans. Of course, all that and more your viewer questions. All that and more your viewer questions. All that and more your viewer questions. Sure.
If you punctuate it right, it makes sense.
It did, yeah. I think that's what my brain was telling me to do. It just didn't come out the right way. Say hello to Elizabeth Claire.
Hello to Elizabeth Claire. Wait.
Hi. Sorry.
Hi.
It didn't work. Richie Procopio, say hi to Elizabeth Claire.
Hi, Elizabeth Claire.
Say hi to Richie Procopio.
Hi, Richie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm alright. I'm happy to be here. I'm sad Scott's not here.
Yes, that's true.
Scott is not here. He's on. Where's he traveling? What's he doing? I don't know what he's doing. I think he's on his. He's on a round trip going to Vegas. He's on a bullet train to Vegas.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I will be seeing him in a few hours. Not a few hours. A few days. I guess it's hours.
2 days.
Few days. Hours. Whatever.
He'll complain to you about Guardian nerfs. You know.
It's true.
I know. That's all I'm gonna hear.
In a bar,
Drinks and Guardians.
drinking himself over
I'm sure
it.
when he has a couple cocktails in him, he's just gonna start whining about nerfs and stuff. The SOE Live, which is the Sony Online Entertainment Conference, going on over the weekend that we're heading to, so it should be fun. Good to meet Scott, but he's not here today. He's I don't know what he's doing. On the road. Let's talk about some Guild Wars 2. First major update is coming. First major update, and October 22nd. And it includes Shadow of the Mad King. We talked about it, I think, last episode or so. Wondering if Mad King Thorn from the original Guild Wars is coming back. Well, yep. He's totally coming back.
It does seem to be that way.
So there's details surrounding this, but there's still they're being kind of vague about the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yep.
Good approach to kind of keep it just, little surprises here and there.
I think it's interesting. Yeah, I kind of like it. They've teased just enough information out there, so you kind of get all excited, and then you're like, your mind goes, what does that mean? What do they mean 4 acts? And we've seen some things on forums and on Reddit and stuff saying that they're looking to put content in and not necessarily say when or where they're going to put this content in. So it kind of makes you kind of wonder, like, which zones do I have to go to? And you kind of want to explore all over again because you never know when something new is going to come in. And I think it's kind of interesting because a lot of times in other MMOs, what's coming out like months before the patch actually hits, right? You have these huge, detailed patch notes and all this data mining and stuff like that, and it's almost old news before it even hits. So I kind of like this approach a little bit.
I like the approach too. I think devs fear it sometimes because they're afraid that they're going to create some content and like not a lot of players will possibly see it, or if it's too hidden. So I imagine most of the stuff they're going to plan is probably going to be out in the open in a pretty easy to find area.
Yeah, and I feel like that's mostly going to be true for the Halloween festivity stuff specifically. I mean, the way they're talking about it sounds like there's going to be stuff that isn't necessarily directly related to Mad King Thorn, that, he's one part of it, but there are other changes to the world. So I feel like the Halloween festivity stuff, since there are a few days to kind of appreciate it before it becomes not Halloween time anymore, I feel like those will be more like, pay attention to us, like, we're big updates over here, whereas other events they'll just kind of put in for players to notice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're right. I think it's going to be, there's the holiday Halloween event, but this is also their opportunity of having a major update that they're actually going to do that first rung of dynamic event rotation that we talked about before launch, right? And they're actually going to maybe phase some out and add some in and stuff like that. So we should see, if this is true, we should see a sprinkling of new content throughout the world, and it should be interesting to see how they approach that.
Yeah, we're going to see, the obvious decorations will come in, mini games, dynamic events, like you said. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff. What do you think, what do you guys expect Arenanet to pull off with the holiday events? You think it's going to be some big grandiose, like blow us out of the water kind of thing?
They've had some pretty elaborate festival celebrations before, like whole big long quest chains that took you like across continents, things that took you to the underworld and other elite areas, things that to completely change your skill bar. So I'm kind of hoping that they're prepared to go really big with it, since it is their first Halloween and their first festival at all, and like to impress people. So I see this being something that isn't necessarily max level because they want it to be accessible, but certainly in depth.
Yeah, I'm excited that they included mini games on that too, because if they put another mini game in and it's anything like, Keg Brawl, because I love Keg Brawl, so if they have something that's on par with that, it's going to be awesome. And like Elizabeth said, they have the tech to totally change your skill bar really easily, and so the sky's the limit of what they're going to do there.
And I gotta wonder how, like, I think a lot of devs are usually afraid to do like one-off content because they're afraid it gets wasted. It's got a very limited time frame, and it's expensive to put this content together, right? The writing, the graphic, everything's got to put together something like that, and then only have a limited window to allow people to enjoy it. Do you expect like some sort of like gem store tie-in or some sort of monetization? I mean, obviously we're going to see some outfits and things like that and hats. So you think that's going to be the extent of it though? Or do you think there's going to be something a little more tied in? A little bit more tighter.
Like, for example?
I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just wondering, because I know, like I said, a lot of companies that charge a subscription fee don't like adding a lot of this stuff into their game because they're used to getting their $15 a month out of you. But then this all of a sudden comes along and it's like, whoa, well, our normal costs are X for a month or whatever it is, right? But now we've got to create all this new stuff that's only going to be live for maybe 2 weeks. And it's costing us, say, triple that. I wonder, I mean, maybe just the costumes, hats, and all the Halloween stuff is going to make up for that.
One thing they said that kind of hinted towards not necessarily a paywall, but certainly buying into some of the festivities, they said that there would be new things to the Black Lion Trading Company, including Halloween costumes and new transforms that will allow you to play costume brawl with fellow costume players, which sounds like you buy a costume, you get to experience some of the content. Now that certainly doesn't sound
that's
like
what I'm talking about. See, that's sort of what I was alluding to. Like, that's exactly what I was alluding. I didn't even read that. See, I'm a genius.
Yeah, that might have been badly phrased, and I certainly don't expect that it would be everything, but it does sound like some of it will have a threshold barrier.
Yeah, the wording is very particular there. You're right, yes. Absolutely. So it could be something that there's some in-game fun that you do, and hey, you might get a sampling of those kind of, so that you can actually participate in the costume brawl once or twice, and then you can buy unlimited uses or something from the. Like
what if they do something like one of the phase sort of events we saw in beta, right? Like the Hunger Games or something. Like what if we see something. But what if it entails that you have to like buy a costume from the gem store?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I don't know. Do you think players would freak out if they have to like buy a costume to engage in content? I'm totally okay with it.
I think it depends on the rewards. Like if it was a substantial reward, people would be freaking out, yes. But their practices thus far haven't really suggested that. And the costume brawl in Guild Wars 1 wasn't necessarily something where you were getting like fantastic powerful items from. So I don't know how people would react to that.
Some people are going to complain no matter what, but you're always going to have that argument of you can spend in-game currency for the gems, so you don't actually have to buy it. So they always can fall back on that. It's an easy out.
And something you said before, Liz, was they hinted at this epic 4-act adventure running throughout the week, and we don't know a lot about it. I mean, first of all, what do you guys expect from something like that? And I mean, when I read it, I immediately thought of more personal story stuff. It almost kind of hints at something larger like that.
I could see them having instances and something like that. I don't know that I would necessarily see it tying into the personal story.
Well, I don't necessarily mean like tied into the personal story, but like kind of delivered in that way with the cutscenes and the voiceover and the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. It just sounds like a really big deal, right? 4 acts, spanning across the week. It doesn't sound like you're, run of the mill sort of go to a Hearts, do a couple things and some fetch quests or something. Like it just sounds, It sounds bigger.
You know what? It sounds like stress for me.
Ah.
It sounds like I have to make sure I missed Act 1. Oh no! You know, it's like it's certain. It might be like that whole week is chopped up into fourths. So like Act 1 is these couple days, and yeah, no, that's actually stressing me out. So I can't wait to see what it is in reality, so I can kind of stop worrying about missing something there.
How do you think it's gonna? This is a question for you guys about the clothing system in general, though. What do you guys think about the whole town clothes system and not being able to wear your stuff in combat, especially now when it comes to something like this, where there's a holiday event? I mean, don't you want to see a bunch of people running around in Halloween costumes and kind of even questing and stuff like that? I know it's like kind of, you know, breaking immersion and but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm totally sold yet on this whole thing that we can't wear town clothes out and about.
I think this is actually going to be the first time that you see town clothes really shine. This and actually another event that's coming up that's player run called Pink Day in LA are two events that happen at the end of October that are going to probably get a lot of players standing around in towns and cities interacting with each other for hours on end. Like in Guild Wars 1, people would just camp out on Halloween Day in the districts of Lion's Arch and Commandant, and just they would be there the entire time, and they would be interacting with each other and putting out costumes and pulling on tonics and stuff like that. So this is the first time you might actually see people spending enough time around each other in a city to actually have that be worthwhile on a grand scale. But it will be interesting to see if they make maybe a costume-like armors that can be skinned on to your real armor so that you can be like Halloween-y as you're out running around.
I agree with Elizabeth here. We haven't really used town clothes much because, you know, for the most part, people are out still exploring the world and stuff like that. And it's really these holiday events, which are probably going to take place large part in the cities if it's anything like Guild Wars 1. Folks will sit around. They will want to show off their goodies. They will want to show off their mini pets and their costumes and their, you know, all kinds of silly stuff like the tonics and stuff like that. So maybe town clothes will become more of a thing, and it'll be more of a feature once we start having more of these events in the major cities and stuff. It's funny you mentioned them because, you know, I don't know if I would want to run around in town clothes or not, but I haven't even thought of town clothes in like weeks because of that. I haven't even done anything with the town clothes because I'm just, you know, playing the game. So it is an underutilized feature right now, and, you know, I'm not exactly sure, you know, how it will work out long term. So the test will be next week.
Do you guys think this is going to be sort of the first time that we're actually going to see like probably like major utilization of town clothes? And I mean, should we also expect, not being a big Guild Wars 1 player, played it but not like super hardcore like you guys? Are we going to see a lot of RP going on for this event? Like just a lot of, are we going to see people like trick or treating in cities and people acting as, you know, business owners and things like that? Are we going to see this major RP event? Maybe a ball, costume ball and things like that?
You typically have people doing their own kind of player-run events like that, and the Guild Wars 1 community was very well known for having kind of recurring events on a yearly basis around that sort of theme. And previously, the Mad King himself has been really big about player engagement, so he'll sit in the middle of a circle in Lion's Arch and tell these terrible jokes, and players have to like use the laugh emote to respond to him or else they die. And stuff like that. Like he would come up and challenge players to rock, paper, scissors, and if you win, you get a prize. If you tie, you get a prize. If you lose, you die. So it's really, it always has been for them a kind of engaging holiday. So I really hope they keep that up because it's a tremendously fun thing when they do it.
I remember first time walking into like, isn't there like a Simon Says game with emotes, right? They'll say Simon Says dance, and then you have to do it. I remember just walking in like, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, everyone around me just went, ugh! Died. I'm like, what's going on? I kept dying over and over again. I'm like, why am I dying? And then he reses you, and you're back, and then you're dead, and you're back. So it's a good time. It's fun. I can't wait to see what they do.
Jump back to the town clothes thing. Are you guys seeing a lot of people spending? I know Richie, you said you haven't even thought about it, but are you guys seeing a lot of people spending gems on clothes so far? Are you seeing it happen? Because I'm not.
I've seen my fair share of hipsters with the wide-rimmed glasses in like Lion's Arch, but that's about all I've seen. And some people making good use of the cook outfit because it's awesome.
No, I'm seeing more people starting to pimp out their exotic sets and different things like that. So I keep passing people in Lion's Arch or whatever. I'm just like, whoa, they look really cool. Because it's not only are we not familiar with a lot of the armor skins yet, people are coming up with crazy dye combinations that are kind of eye-catching, even if you've seen the armor set before. But I haven't seen much in the way of town clothing thus far.
Speaking of which, I really want an inspect option. Because so many people are wearing new armors and weapons. I'm like, where's that and how do I get it? And I can't
I completely agree with that one as well. So along with the Halloween Madness, you're also getting PvP paid tournaments. That's going to be huge. Those are going to be implemented. So huge for PvP fans out there. Really excited about that. They'll be adding new events, more jumping puzzles, bosses, mini dungeons, and achievements across the entire world. So it's not like this is just the Halloween event. It sounds like there's something for everyone pretty much in this patch of their first major. I mean, we have to wait, I feel like, to judge the first major content patch, but we don't have our hands on it. But I feel like this sounds like a really good, solid update. On paper, I feel like most people are probably happy. Is there anything missing from this list that people are really looking forward to that just did not make it?
To me, that really kind of makes this patch work is the PvP thing, because this is something that we just found out about a week ago. We had like no inclination that they were going to be doing like the reward structure for these paid tournaments. It just came out of nowhere, and it's already going to be in the game. So it's like that's like a major kind of feature that we just caught wind of, and it's already going to be put in. And then you throw in the holiday, and then you throw in these random dynamic events and other pieces of the puzzle that we're going to see. And I think it's going to be a pretty solid patch. We'll have to play it to see.
Coming up, we're going to talk about this lunatic who made the first underwater legendary weapon. But first, I've got to tell you about some Netflix. If you guys have not checked out the free 30-day trial, I don't know what you're waiting for. Check it out right now. Go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Sign up for their free 30-day trial for their streaming service. You can stream it to your Xbox, your PS3, your Wii, your Roku, your iPad, your Apple TV, yada, 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 every device. I need a list to name off all the devices this is on. If you like the service, you can keep it. It's $8 a month. If you don't, cancel before the 30 days is up. You will not be charged a dime. I know you're going to love it when you try it. Check it out. Go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. I'm almost done with season 2 of Breaking Bad. This is the only thing that comes up. That's it.
Everyone's commenting on your Jersey Shore there, though.
Yeah, seriously, what is that?
Top 10 for Gary, Jersey. Hey, I am from Jersey. I am from Jersey, my hometown. So I grew up with those people. Like, not those particular people, but those people. Richie knows what I'm talking about. Richie's from Jersey as well. We got
my
Staten
brother is one of those people.
Oh, nice. Go to Jenkinson's. Does he hang out at Jenkinson's down at the beach?
I'm just kidding.
God, all those spots at the Jersey Shore.
Seaside.
Sleeside. Yeah, grew up there, basically. Seaside Heights.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, like some lunatic over here has completed the first legendary underwater weapon. So, congrats.
Slow clap for him.
Congrats, Aquaman.
Monnery, as he's known on Reddit and YouTube at least. Here, let's take a look at this vid. I don't know where Scott is. He'd probably be drooling right now, but
he'd be making yucky noises.
Yes. So the legendary Trident Kraitkin, totally worth it. It is kind of cool. It is
for that 15% of the game underwater.
Yeah, I expected more writhing of those eels. There's not enough writhing.
The worst thing about this thing, we talked about it. You know, the worst thing is he can't. Like, come on, Arena, let this guy like pull this thing out in fountains in town. Like, really? He's got to go underwater. Like, he's spamming in his chat. Hey, people, come over, come onto the water, guys. Check out my new
jump
weapon.
Jump off the diving board. Come look.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really, believe me.
It's probably what he does. Is he hangs out underneath the diving board and just waits for the random person to jump down. Look before you go.
Just always posing.
Yeah, I feel bad for him a little bit because he posted this thread on. No, I'm serious because he posted this thread on Reddit. Right, it's a huge accomplishment, a ton of time that goes into it, and there are tons of comments on this thread, but 90% of them are about whether or not people like Guild Wars 2 Underwater Combat. It's like not about the legendary at all.
Poor guy.
He's like, I wanted my 15 minutes of fame, and you guys just hijacked my thread to talk about underwater combat. Couldn't you make your own?
That's right.
Everyone go tell him nice things.
Do either of you guys see yourself ever going for a legendary underwater weapon? Ever? Maybe?
Not an underwater one.
No.
I mean, I'm
Elizabeth.
I'm determined that one day I'll get a legendary. I went through, actually, there's a post up on Massively today that goes through, like, every little thing you need to get one. And writing that has me very sure that it won't be anytime soon. And when it does, I want to see it for more than
days.
10% of the game time. Yeah, like, I want it to be on my screen all the time because it's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, I actually read your article, and that just solidified it. I don't think I'll ever have one. It's so sad.
Yeah, my editor was like, well, that was a nice dream.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to him and all his craziness. Really quick, BuildCast, our PvP and theory crafting show. Need your submissions, send them in. Don't forget to send them in. You can use the email address submit@Gamebreaker TV. Record your match to YouTube in HD. Send it to us also with a link to the Guildhead build out your entire character, so we have the build and we can dissect it, and we'll feature it on BuildCast. So make sure to send those in to submit@Gamebreaker TV. ArenaNet's Peter Fries is basically sick of Freeze. Oh, Freeze? Really? Oh, crap. Hang on.
I greeted him by pronounced name the first time.
Just give me a second.
He's giving us hold music.
Can
you do
guitar?
Can you do Girl from Ipanema?
No, I can't. I'm just doing this one while I get this. Keep going. Yeah, I need some more help music.
Richie.
How long does it take you to type in Freeze to change your little notes there? It's Peter Freeze. Come on.
I'm changing my notes. Hang on. Why isn't this working? Right. Damn. Hang on. Something just.
So, Richie.
Yes, Elizabeth.
All right, let's move on while I'm doing this. So, basically, he's PO'd that everybody's rolling a human. Is it really? He is.
Is he really PO'd? I think he wrote one tweet about it.
Yeah, I think it was a tweet.
Is it really that the vast majority? Is it really that the vast majority of people have rolled humans though? Is the balance that offset?
I don't think it's noticeable in game, but all the polls before it even launch said that most people were going that way. And I think since a lot of fans of Guild Wars 1 are coming over to Guild Wars 2, and you could only be humans there, that they kind of wanted to continue their characters here. So I think that it's not surprising that the vast majority of players are human, but the vast majority of players are human. That kind of sounds so stupid. That sounds really stupid. But
none of them are kittens.
0%
with lasers. Well, Peter Freeze.
Tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming. Allow me to break the ice. You are not sending me to the cooler. Freeze well. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
I'm never going to look at his tweets the same way again.
Nope.
Stay
Always
cool,
going to be in that voice.
Boy. Let's kick some ice. Show some mercy. I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. All right, everyone. Chill. It's a cold town. Cool party.
How much fun was it to write that part?
Seriously.
Can you be cold, Batman? Yeah, to perfection. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Winter has come at last. Freeze.
No, winter is coming, dude.
Ice, freeze.
Seriously, get with the time.
Winter forever. Frozen. Icy.
That's so 90s.
Winter.
Best one's coming up.
Freeze. Winter. Freeze. Cold. Frosty.
Oh, so
Peter Frosty.
So obviously, I guess the majority of people rolled human. Peter wants everybody to know that the Char and the Asura stories are pretty great, and we should all experience them. So I don't know. I mean, if you guys, I'm still playing my Norn. So I rolled a human as well, Norn. Have you guys checked them out? Can you confirm or deny? Asura, pretty great. Char, pretty great.
Yeah, they're super awesome. I mean, you can get a feel for it in their territories on its own, because I mean, obviously, each territory has events that are kind of themed towards the national character. But the Asura, for one, and the Char really are kind of very unique to Guild Wars 2 and to ArenaNet, or to Guild Wars Universe and to ArenaNet. So they can kind of be as extreme with them as they want. So like each character in the personal story kind of embodies sort of the attitude of the race. So they had a lot of fun making the Asura very snarky little geniuses. and the Char being kind of bloodthirsty, awesome, fearless people. So it's been super fun for me to go through both those storylines, and I think that people are missing out if they're not seeing them, but it's a flavor thing.
Now you guys got a chance to check out most of the personal stories amongst a few of the other, the races there. How do you think they're done overall? Did you guys end up really? There's a lot of back and forth of people talking about how they did the personal story stuff and how they intro the characters with that sort of I don't know what to call it, like not very cinematic style conversation with the two characters and the backdrop and things like that. And it was right around the time we were seeing the Star Wars cinematics and stuff like that, and everybody was like, "Wow, these look like a movie," and the Guild Wars 2 ones didn't. Did you guys end up really liking that style after you got to experience it longer?
You know what's interesting is the strength of the Star Wars cutscenes are the cutscenes and the choices you get to make in them. But the strength in the personal story in Guild Wars 2 isn't those dialogue exchanges. It's actually what you're doing once you're in combat, in action, in the story. Like some of these events are just so cool. They're grand in scale, and I know you do have a lot of these NPCs that are kind of with you that just fall over when they get breathed on. But the scale of them is really cool. You do feel like you're part of like this huge army that's trying to survive. And I don't want to go into too many spoilers and stuff like that, but that's where the strength is in the actual doing of this. And I do think Star Wars cutscenes are still a little bit better. But that's not where the strength of this story is, in my opinion.
I will give up those cutscenes for a good game any day. Sorry, had to add that in there.
Yeah.
Cutscenes. Now the cutscenes are done great in Star Wars, and the story stuff, like through that whole story content, is awesome. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Stuff, but
I
ended up I was really not sure if I was gonna like the personal story stuff when we saw the first early videos of the two characters coming in from the sides, and I was like, wow, it takes me out of the element, and I really didn't know if it was going to work well. I learned to like it. I learned to just, it totally did its job, and like you said, I think it was more about the experience that you were in rather than exactly how they executed it.
Yeah, I don't love when there's more than two people talking in a conversation, and like one has to go away and the other one has to come out. I don't like that. But other than that, I don't have a big problem with it.
Yeah.
Next up, talked a little bit about this coming. The beta version of ArenaNet's mobile authenticator app is out. It is out. Have you guys been using it? I'm a bad player. I have not started using this yet. And I know I yell about security on this show and every other show all the time. I have not started playing with it.
You've been asking for an authenticator for how many months?
I know. Well, tell me, you guys have been using it, both of you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I installed it before I wrote the article about it.
What do you think of it? Tell me about it. What do you think of it?
I can't wait till you can remember networks.
Yep.
But aside from that, it's super groovy.
Explain that to me. What do you mean?
So right now, like, I really want an option where I can say, remember this network, like anyone logging in from this device is cool. Because generally, if someone has my tower, I have a lot more problems to worry about than whether or not they're signing into my Guild Wars account. So I'd really like to be able to just be like, always trust this device sort of thing.
They said
it doesn't remember the device, so I'm confused. I'm totally confused.
It didn't previously, and they said that it was on their list of things to
So wait, you install this on your iPhone, and then every time you launch it, you have to approve the device it's connected to?
No. What she's saying is every time she logs into Guild Wars, she has to put the code in. But they are working on a feature that says, hey, if I'm logging in from this computer, I don't have to enter the code anymore.
Or network.
Oh, I see.
Like the email. Like the email. Right. So like right now, the email authentication system has, it'll always send an email to authenticate when you're logging in, unless you say, like, remember this network.
I guess they should probably give you the option. I mean, the Blizzard authenticator, I put my code in every single time. I have it set. It just asks me every time I put it in.
Mm-hmm. But the option would be nice.
The option, I guess, would be nice. Yeah. So that's one improvement. Any other improvements you think that are definitely needed?
The other thing they're working on is something with removing the authenticator.
Yeah. So what they want to do is, if you want to take the authentication system off your device, you need to generate another code. I don't know how it works right now because I haven't tried.
I think right now you have to put a ticket in.
Ooh. Okay, well, that's better than just being able to say, I don't want this anymore. But, yeah, so that's kind of ugly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and-
those two reasons are why I haven't done it yet. It's I want to wait till I don't have to put the code in every single time if I'm only playing from this computer, and I also want to make sure I have an easy way out in case I want to uninstall it. Plus, my kids are constantly playing Angry Birds and other Fruit Ninja thing,
Give it here.
and my phone is always somewhere in the house randomly tucked under a pillow, and it has no charge. So I want to be able to play Guild Wars when I'm ready to play and not have to charge and find it. So.
All right, well, make sure you go download it. Security. I should take my own advice and go download it as well. I will be doing that. So go download I will. Let's do some viewer questions. If you guys have a question for the GuildCast crew, send them to submit at Gamebreaker TV, and keep an eye on our Facebook page. We ask for questions there as well. First up this week from David Cohen. David Cohen's a little fluffy bunny. And he's got a question. He says, with WDubs always lopsided, do you think the issue is more server transfers to the winning team or just giving up once a server has a decent lead? Or perhaps another reason? Why do you think WDubs so lopsided, Mr. Rich?
It's not lopsided if you're fighting for second place. It's always much more competitive. I don't think it's server transfers, especially now that there's a 24-hour window that you have to
one
wait.
a day.
So I definitely don't think it's that. I do think there is something to be said for people giving up after there's a lead. As soon as the matchups are made, there is this kind of fight going on, and that will last a period of time. But later in the week, you definitely see the other two phoning in a little bit because the lead just gets crazy and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit of that. I think that's mostly why. I don't think it's the transfer.
What do you think, Liz?
Transfers. I agree. I think that people can get daunted by being like, oh, we're how many ever tens or thousands of points behind. Like, I don't really feel like going for it, which is a sad attitude, people. So yeah, I think a lot of it is people just kind of phoning in after they realize that they're not going to win this one around. So I'd really like to see some sort of incentive to not be last.
Yes.
Aside from just wanting bonuses, like, obviously not going to strike everyone dead or anything, but some sort of incentive to keep fighting would be cool.
Like
If
some
you're
sort of buff or some sort of perk or added NPCs or something?
No, if you lose, if you're the server that loses, everyone on that server has to drink the random appearance potion.
Seriously.
There you go. There you go.
It's perfect.
That would be a good one.
And that would fuel more gem store purchases because you would have an entire world of people who wanted to redo their appearance after that.
That's right.
It's
That's
a genius
brilliant.
proposition.
Never
We just made
happening.
ArenaNet infinite money.
You did. Well, not really, because it's never going to happen. All right,
No.
next one from Joey Maroney. He says, in Guild Wars 1, you were able to save/load builds. You see something similar making its way to Guild Wars 2 with traits. Any potential issue you see with having this feature? I would love to see this kind of a feature in Guild Wars 2. What do you think, Liz?
I would love it in PvP. The only problem with it in PvE is that there's a fee, so I can see a lot of people trying to figure out the UI and accidentally spending the fee 3 times in a row because they're like, oh, I didn't actually mean to switch to that. Oh, I didn't mean to switch to that one. Okay, now I'm on the... Where did I lose that 6 gold? So I would like to see it. I'm not sure we'll see it in PvE, but it would definitely be a boon to PvP.
It
Rick,
has to. They have to put this in for PvP. It is an absolute must. If you want to change your build between matches, it is such a pain in the patootie without that. And I recall being in one of the beta weekends, standing around in the mists, and there was an ArenaNet dev there, and somebody asked that specific question about, are we going to be able to be able to save the template like you could in Guild Wars 1? And I believe the dev said not at launch, but we're looking into it. So fingers crossed, that has to go in.
That one would make sense. It's also a pain if, I have my PvE characters that I'll just, pop over for a match or two, and every time, because, I have to reassign all the points, and it's just, so that would be a really good thing to be working on.
Last up, this one from Tejmur.
Good luck with that.
That is the proper pronunciation of Tejmur's name. He says, I would love to see an underwater race and an underwater city that can compare in awesomeness to Divinity's Reach and the others. Could they add races like Quaggan and Largos in expansion? Would you like a huge underwater city and starting area? Rich.
Heck yeah.
Go ahead, Liz.
No, Richie, go for it.
You know, I know Elizabeth's going to love the Quaggan, and I would like to play a Quaggan, but I don't know if I necessarily need an entire underwater race with a large city. I'd like to see it. I'd like to visit it. It's kind of like the underwater zone in World of Warcraft this year. You know, it was fun to go through once. I don't know if I'd want to do that more than once. And I don't even hate the underwater combat. It's just, I don't know.
It seems like nobody hates the underwater combat in Guild Wars 2, but nobody loves it enough that they really want to stay there for an extended period of time.
You know what it is?
For Maroney.
Maroney. Yes.
She's like, oh, underwater combat.
Except for Aquaman. You know, I don't absolutely... It's more than that. It's like, I think it's the weapon sets, at least for the warrior. I just don't like the skills I have underwater. And I don't have a problem with the movement. I like that they stripped out a lot of the negative things about underwater combat. Maybe they just need to work on the weapon sets, or maybe have more options underwater.
Yeah, you do have so few choices by comparison. I mean, you have either 1 or 2 weapons that you can use, period. You have many fewer utility skills. Elementalists only have 1 elite. There's just not a lot to switch it up and to customize. So I think that's something they would have to work on before they added an underwater thing. 1, it would fix the problem of underwater legendaries, because if you had a race that was predominantly underwater, you could be like, hey, look, my legendary is on screen half the time. It's awesome. So that'd be cool. I would get really freaked out playing a Quaggan if they stayed true to the lore and went into like Hulk beast mode every time you started fighting. Like, I don't think they're cute when they're like that. They are scary. So like I would have problems with my character like turning into a rage monster every 20 seconds or so. So that would be an interesting thing with the Quaggan. The Largos would be super cool, but I either like missed a bit of dialogue somewhere. My Elementalist, who's way past 80 and end of the storyline at this time, I don't think was ever like formally introduced to what the Largos are, why they're here. She was just helping Traherne one day, and suddenly he was like, I need you to go with this underwater bat thing. And she was like, okay, I see no reason not to trust this evil-looking creature. So there's definitely room for exploring more of their lore.
Yeah. It'd be funny with the Quaggan underwater. You know, you create the legendary greatsword, and all the other Quaggan make fun of you because, you have to beg people to come out on land to see that.
Richie Procopio, follow him on the Twitter at Richie Procopio. Go over to his YouTube channel, Bog Otter, and of course, go over to Gamebreaker.tv and read all his great stuff. If you guys have not checked out his weekly article this week, the top awesomest things to do when you're 80, you're missing out. Go check it out. It's on Gamebreaker right now. Elizabeth Clare, follow her on Twitter at Elizabeth Clare, and of course, go over to massively.com and read all her amazing work over there as well as right here on the GuildCast every single week. You can follow me on Twitter at Gary Gannon. You can follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. We do the show live every single Wednesday at 6. Not this week.
Except for this one.
Except for this one. We live this week. Have a great week. Make sure to watch GuildCast. We'll see you next time.